Welcome, everyone, to the Wisdom Podcast. I am your host, Sierra. As always, I just want to let you know why are we here, and that is because I feel like there's one person out there in the world that we can reach, that we can help better the quality of their life and live intentionally. We don't have to get stuck in that hamster wheel of life. We can create the life that we love. And I do believe that we have the perfect guest to assist us with this today. I think I just rambled my words so bad right there, but it's okay. And today we do have the lovely Miss Elaine. Elaine, can you let us know who you are, what you're all about? Let the world know.
Yeah, so my name is Elaine, and I have been kind of on my own healing journey and
Mm,
transformation, have made lots of changes in my life in the last like 2.5 or 3 years.
okay.
I'm 30 years old, and I used to be an elementary school teacher. Completely burned myself out
Okay.
and decided to, for that reason, and then also my dad getting sick, kind of made me rethink how I approach my health and my life. And I decided to make some changes for myself and then realized my next step was to help other young
Mm,
women who are purpose driven and passionate about making an impact in the world, to find balance and harmony between like that desire to
yeah,
make a difference and the need to nourish and nurture their own body, mind, and soul.
absolutely. I
So now
love
I'm a
that.
health coach, and I am also in grad school, and I've got a few different
Yeah.
things going on, but my main thing is health coach, and I am just helping women bring more intentionality. You were saying before we started
Hmm.
recording, bringing more intentionality into the decisions that we make for our health and our life, because it impacts us not only now and how we experience life, but
Hmm.
also in 20, 30, 40 years, how we're going to be
Absolutely.
able to live then.
Absolutely. So you said something that has piqued my interest. So you have been on your own healing journey and you're going through your transitions in life. What was the spark for your healing journey, or what made you want to kind of change how life was going for you?
Yeah. So these things happened kind of simultaneously and probably
Okay.
because of each other. But my dad was diagnosed with cancer.
I'm so sorry.
Pretty, yeah,
It's a nasty beast. I
it
can't wait for
is.
that to just disappear.
I know, and it's thankfully he's okay now. So
Okay.
story has a happy ending, but um, it was stage 4 metastatic melanoma, so it had like
Woo.
spread. It was really bad and scary, and the first
Yeah.
time that I had been faced with mortality so close to home. And
And too close
so
to home.
too close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was at the end of my 4th year as a teacher, and I was going to teach one more year after that. I didn't know it at the time, but that's
Yeah.
what happened. So I, was like re-examining my own health behaviors. I went on a wellness retreat in Nicaragua, that
Mm,
summer, and I had a Reiki session, which is kind of like energy healing, and it just
okay.
exposed me to an alternative way
Okay.
of healing and understanding life and
What do
how
they do
we
in
live.
Reiki?
So in Reiki, you lay down and then the practitioner will like place their hands over you or on your
Okay.
body and the different areas of the chakras.
On
So
the
there are 7
chakras. Okay.
chakras, which are like energy centers in your body. And they'll help to kind of like open up any that are blocked, or if there are any that are like super open and
Mhm.
overstimulated, they'll help to just rebalance that energy in your body,
Mm.
to, you know, help
Yeah,
you
yeah.
show up whole and
Yeah, to be you completely.
exactly. Yes,
Right.
yes. So I did that, and yeah, it was just like a new way of thinking about
Mhm.
healing. And then on that same trip, she had told me, she was like, and this woman, she was an intuitive and a psychic and all this stuff. Some people believe in it, some people don't. I choose to, just because it's, even if it's not like real, it just kind of confirms some things that I am already like sensing with my intuition.
Right.
But she was like, you are meant to be a healer. And
Mm,
I had already, been thinking about my dad and had heard about health coaching, didn't really know much about it, but then that came up on the trip
Mm-hmm.
with the woman who was running the retreat, not the Reiki healer.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of was in the back of my mind for maybe a few months. And eventually I looked into getting certified and then was continued to work on my own
Yeah.
mental, spiritual, physical health at that time.
Right. So while you were getting, how long is the certification to become a coach?
So it's different. I was certified
Okay.
through Duke Integrative Health, and my training was 9 months long.
Okay.
So I did it all through 2022.
Oh, were you still a teacher at this time too?
Yeah, during the beginning portion of
Okay.
it. And then I
Okay.
left that mid-year in the summer.
So here's my question, because I know a lot, I see a lot of like holistic wellness coaches, and it seems like it can be like the new big wave when something becomes trendy. What was the appeal of going the holistic route for you?
Yeah, I think that health, and I've kind of realized this through just my own journey and
Okay.
observing others, but health is about so much more than society makes it. So,
Hmm.
oftentimes when we think of health, we think of nutrition and exercise,
Yeah.
but there are so many components of health that impact our well-being that we just don't think about on a day-to-day basis. So like sleep, that's another kind of common one some
Hmm.
people think
Hmm.
about. Your mental and physical health, your fulfillment and
Absolutely.
purpose. So
Mm.
like the how you feel purposeful, how you're contributing
Yeah.
value to the world, and if you feel like you are or not.
Right.
Your physical environment and what is surrounding you. It's like the air that you're breathing, the noise levels,
Yeah.
the water you're drinking, but then it's also, is your space organized or cluttered? Is it like a calming,
Wow.
loving space, or is it chaotic? Then there's like mindfulness and just being present in what
Mm.
is present in your life, and
I love that.
community, which
I
has been
love
a huge one for me over
community, you said?
the last year. Yeah. And the
And how
people
has
that
that
you
helped
have in
you?
your life. So when I left teaching, I had like put everything into teaching. I was Miss Proulx. That was my identity. My coworkers call me Miss
You kind
Proulx.
of look like her a little bit.
Yeah, right.
I'm
I
sorry.
know. I'm still an educator. I still wear
Okay.
that hat. But I that was everything.
Yeah.
Everyone that I knew called me Miss Proulx. Even my friends who were other teachers called me Miss
Wow.
Proulx. It was comical. But I left and I was like, oh my God, who am I? Like, people would
Mm.
ask me, what do you like to do? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I just worked for the last 5 years and was always the fun things like making worksheets and
Yeah.
just doing things for teaching, for that
Mhm.
identity. And when I left and I didn't have like the social support of my coworkers and being at school, and I was kind of doing everything online. I had started grad school online and was doing my health coaching business. I kind of had a rough few months where like trying to
Mm.
figure out one, who I was, but then also like trying to find a new support system and
Right.
place where I felt belonging. That's really it,
That's a
is like
nice
finding a
word.
place where you
Yeah.
belong. Yeah. So I leaned into my church a little bit and I did like volunteering there. And then I jumped into other things and reconnected with friends that maybe I had not been in
Hmm.
very good touch with while I was teaching, and had to be really intentional about it. And I
Yeah.
like worked with a health coach to help me kind of make a plan for how am I going to connect with people
Mhm.
and find my new identity through being part of other communities and spaces.
Right, right. So your sense of belonging, what was that like when you found your community? Like, how did you know that you fit there?
Yeah. I feel like there's not like a moment, but there
Okay.
are small moments when I'm
Ooh.
reminded. So I don't know if I had a moment when I was like, wow, this is it. But the biggest place I'm involved in is at my church, and I am a volunteer. I like participate in stuff. I'm getting a young adults group going, so having
Awesome.
people my own age, because there are a lot of older people. So connecting with people who are like-minded and wanting to also connect. Like we're all lonely, right?
Yeah.
And so creating opportunities for that. And then I joined the board of directors and I'm like doing all the things.
Yeah.
But I like when I go to church, I see now, I didn't used to talk to anyone. I would go and like
Mhm.
be by myself and then go home. Now I go and I see people like everywhere that I know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is people say hi to me. Like they know who I am. Um, and then like this
Mhm.
past weekend, I was invited to a birthday party. And then I
Yeah.
was invited to go play pickleball with people from church. And I'm like, oh, this is like,
Yeah.
yeah, these are the people that I want to spend time with. And they want to spend time with me. And I feel like I have a place in like their lives and they do in
Yeah.
mine, um, to like support each other and connect.
Absolutely. And I think it's important too to have with your community, not everyone in that community always has the same goal or vision, but I think it's important to have people around you that have the same determination and push. Because
Yes.
when they see you doing what's best for you, they want to support that versus keep you in that same area of life. So to have someone that has your back and they're also grinding like the same way that you are, that's all that's to me that's everything. And that's what my prayer has been is to find my community and my group or my like friends because it's even like if since we're in that same age range it's been really hard making genuine connections for friendships at this age. Like I ask everybody like how do you make friends, because I know that I'm a very open person but it's like I can't find the right place to do it, or I'll make a connection but it lasts like almost temporarily, like it's a very short-lived high and then it's just like okay there was nothing really of value there. So to find your community where you feel like I am at peace and I know that I have a safe place, I love that you found that and you see that like on a daily every time you go there.
Yeah. And I think I agree. It's so hard to make like genuine connections and to have them be ongoing. Like I'll have
Yeah.
a conversation with someone and I'm like, wow, that was great. I would love to hang out with that person. And I'm more introverted, so I don't like reach out to other people as much. But then it just kind of fades away or nothing happens. Um, or you like get to know that person and you're like, uh-oh, maybe we're not
Mhm.
so compatible.
Mhm.
So it's really challenging, but I think that like finding a place, whatever that is for you, where there are other people that you can see on like a recurring basis
Absolutely.
is really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what it really is like finding like a lot of people say the best way to make friends are like in your hobbies or something that you like partake in very often. Because if you're not, it's almost like going back to high school, right? Like that's how you get your best friend because you're in each other's face every day. You're relating to the same things. And it's like in order to make another connection like that, you have to present yourself to be available to those type of connections. And the same goes for like building a community of people around you. Like you have to be able, like I can't always be an introvert and expect to have a community because if I'm in the house, my community are the four walls of my house, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like you have to put yourself in the position. And so one of my friends that I were talking, they're like, you have to go to the place looking for friends that you want your friends to be like. So like don't go look like or how they say don't go looking for a spouse in the club if you want him to be praising God. Like you need to go to
Yeah.
church. Not you don't need to be
Yeah.
going to like you need to be looking in the right area for the type of community that you want. Like don't just be like, yeah, I like to paint but not really. So I'm gonna go to a painting class when your true connection that makes you feel fulfilled, that's where you need to be. So I think
Yeah.
that's really cool that you found that, especially where you are in life going through your transition because that makes it a little bit easier, would you say?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, doing it alone is really hard. And
Yeah,
so to have or even just having like online connections, it's really not the same as being in
I
person
agree.
with
I
people.
agree. Like, it's
Yeah.
nice that I can text you and check in, but to feel like that physical vibration
Mhm.
between 2 people, nothing compares to that. I totally agree.
Yeah.
So also with can for some people who may think we know what like a holistic wellness coach does, can you give a little bit more insight on what it means to be holistic or I know it's like alternative, but like help us or let them know what that truly means.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think first, I want to talk about like what coaching is and what
Okay.
health coaching is, because some people hear health coach and they're like, oh, this person's going to tell me like what to eat and how to exercise. And
Mm.
health coaches aren't necessarily experts in any one area of health. We're experts in like the process of behavior change.
Ah.
So I just happen to also be getting my master's degree in integrative health, which is looking at health holistically and combining like all modalities of healing, both
Mhm.
alternative and like the biomedical traditional systems.
Okay.
But some health coaches don't have any like professional experience in a healthcare setting.
Mm.
But we know the process to help you achieve
Yeah.
lasting behavior
Right,
change, because
right.
that can be really hard. And so with holistic health coaching, if you're looking for a coach, you want to pick someone who kind of has a similar view
Mhm.
of life and like how you want to approach your health. So some coaches are very like specific in one area of health. So they'll really focus on nutrition, or they'll
Mhm.
really focus on exercise, or they'll be like a sleep coach.
Yeah.
And then there are some that are just like approach it more holistically. And that's what I do, is I help clients who come to me figure out like, where do they want to work? Where do they want to
Mhm.
start? What areas are they really strong in, and what areas need more support
Yeah.
and are, have more opportunity for growth. And it's again looking at, there are 8 areas on a wheel of health that I use
Mm.
with my clients.
Okay.
So they get to choose, but like, I think something that's really important for people to remember is that ultimately, like, you are the expert on your health and your life,
Mm.
and you have the final word. Like, so you need to be able to choose things that are going to work for you.
Right.
And any coach that's like prescribing or telling you what to do may not necessarily have your best interest at heart. They're just like
Okay.
choosing what worked for them, or, teaching what worked for them. But
Yeah.
we're all different. Like
Yeah.
every
Finding a coach that's
body.
adaptable. That's
Yeah.
huge. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and that will really use like a coaching process, because coaching isn't telling you what to do. Coaching
Mm.
is holding space for you to figure out like what it is that you want to
Ah,
do.
very nice. And when you say holding space, what do you mean by holding space? Like a
So, yeah, so coaching is asking a lot of questions and then
okay.
just providing the space, the mental space,
Okay.
the physical space for you to think about your answers,
Okay.
and then just kind of like explore it.
Yeah.
So it's, we don't, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to like work through certain things and talk
Yeah,
about
no,
what's
I
going
agree.
on in their life, and talk about challenges that are coming up and try to figure out like how to overcome them.
Mm.
And so being, working with a therapist, working with a coach, like any kind of professional like that can just provide you the space to really
Yeah.
work on yourself and figure out where it is you want to go next.
Absolutely. So where you are now, are you considering yourself to still be going through a big transition at the moment? Have you settled into your new role?
Yeah, so I would say yes, I'm there, but I'm not. And I don't know if anyone, so I have a deck of tarot cards, and I
Okay.
don't use them very often. I don't know how to like read tarot. It's someone just gifted them to me. But I did a class a few weeks ago, just like a 1 hour class about tarot, and we each person like pulled a card, and
Yeah.
then the teacher kind of like told us what it meant. So I pulled the Tower, which is like a big tall tower that's like flaming, and there are
Mhm.
people like falling out of it, and there's
Oh.
lightning, and I was like, oh my god, what does this mean? And then so she was like, it's about transition, and it's, maybe it's just a reminder to that you're like still in it. And I think we're
Mhm.
always still in it. Like there's
Absolutely.
always stuff that's changing and evolving. But the interesting thing was that I got home and then I grabbed my tarot deck like a few weeks later. I haven't touched this deck in at least a year. Like I don't use
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
But I was like, let me just pull a card for today. And I like shuffled them up. And guess what card I pulled?
No way.
The Tower. And I was like, whoa, like those little things that I'm like, there is
Yeah.
no way. How did this happen? But it's just
Yeah.
like the universe reminding me, stay patient,
Mhm.
because it really is like life is about the journey. It's not about the destination.
Yeah.
Wherever you get, there's always going to be further to
Another
go.
place.
Like
Yeah.
we're always growing and evolving. And so it was just a reminder to be like, you're still in it. You're like, you'll always be in it, and just
Yeah.
be present
Absolutely.
and patient now, and allow whatever is supposed to unfold to happen.
Yeah.
And like hold the vision, still have your vision
Mhm.
for what you want, but also allow like whatever happens along the journey to
Yeah.
happen.
And I love that you said to be present, because sometimes we live way too much in the future or way too much
Mm-hmm.
in the past. And then when we look at the moment that we're currently living in, it's just like a picture in one of our photographs, because we're not mentally, emotionally, physically present in that moment. And we think, or let me say, we are physically, but emotionally, mentally, we're not there. We're checked out. We're thinking about the next bill we have to pay, or thinking about worrying about all of this extra stuff, versus just intentionally being in that moment where we can truly feel like the gratitude of that moment or in that moment. Because when we're in the future, we're worrying about, or now we have anxiety, right? Like now we're dealing with all of this unnecessary pressure because we don't even know what tomorrow will hold. And then when we're too much in the past, it's depression, because we're just stuck, or feel like we're stuck, and we're not really. We are moving forward. We're just living too much in the past. And I
Yeah.
love that you said to be more present in the present,
Mm-hmm.
because those are the moments, that's all that we have. If we really think about it, it's just right now. We don't have yesterday and we don't have tomorrow. We only have right now. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that you mentioned that, because it's really true. And people need to hear that. Like, just live
Yeah.
for right now. Live
Yeah.
for right now. That doesn't mean not plan for tomorrow, but live for right now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I love that
Yeah.
so
And I
much.
think one quote I really love is, I think I kind of said it, but like the journey, how do we say this? The destination where we're trying to go is the journey. So
Oh,
like in health, I say this when you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to start a new exercise plan or something, like
yeah.
you lose the weight, but that's not the end.
It's not.
Really, what you're trying to get is like the lifestyle that you can live sustainably for a long time to
Mm,
maintain whatever that goal is, that vision you want. Um, and it's the same for anything in life. Like
I agree.
we want to focus on what we're living now. And
Yeah.
like, because the journey is what you're living. You're not
Yeah.
living that destination. Even when you get there, that's like a moment in time. And
Mm,
so to live just for that one moment,
yep.
that's tiny in comparison to like the grand scheme
Agreed.
of the
Yeah.
life that we get to
Yep.
live. um you're missing so much. And so
I
to like focus on the journey, be present in this life right now that you're living, because
That's
otherwise you just like miss your whole
yeah.
life.
You'll miss it and you'll look up and it's just like, whoa, how did I get here? And I feel like I'm almost in the same place I was like 5 years ago. I've
Yeah.
done nothing. And I think that's
Yeah.
like the point of this podcast too, is to let people know to live intentionally. And it sounds big when you say live intentionally, but it starts with every decision. Like I say very often, I'm intentional with every breath. Every breath I take, I'm just like either feeling gratitude or something to help me mentally, that I'm like, okay, you can keep going, you know? Because a lot of times we say, I can't. and I'm starting to say I can. Even if it doesn't feel
Mhm.
like it, it's like, no, you can do it. Just breathe, take that breath, and let's try again. And being intentional means that you just have a purpose and a plan to keep going. Even when life throws the curveballs, or when we think we're going to be like a teacher for a very long time because we resonate and we love the feeling that we get there, but there may be always more to life, right? And I love that you're finding your more and you're thriving and you're more, um because now it's like, this is where I truly operate. This is where I feel the most fulfillment, where I can still be a teacher, you know,
Mhm. Yep.
and check off all the other marks. And the only way to find that is if you're intentional.
Mhm.
That's the only way to do that, because you could have stayed very sad and in the moment of feeling lost from not being a teacher anymore. But look at you now. Like, you have your own testimony and your story that will touch so many people because you've decided to be intentional. And that
Mhm.
is what really matters.
Yeah. And I think two things I want to point or
Mhm.
elaborate on. So first is that, like, yes, I figured out what is next for me in this phase. Um, but something I learned with teaching, because I went into it and I thought, like, this is going to be my career. This is
Yeah,
what I'm going
yeah.
to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to work in some capacity in education. And when I left, I felt really guilty and like I had
Mhm.
failed at this purpose that I had set out to achieve. And like slowly came to terms with that, but realized that life, like, people are like, life is short, you got to live every day, but it's like life is actually really long.
Yeah.
Like, if we think about our human experience, life
Yeah.
is really long. And like, when I left teaching at 29 a year ago, um I was thinking about, I still have like 35 at least years to work and to
Mm,
do so many more things. Like, maybe I'm doing health coaching now, but who knows what
who
I'm going to be doing
knows?
in 10 years. And so, like, we have so much time. And so I think something that a lot of young people like our age feel
Yeah.
like we have the pressure to just like have it all figured out and figure out the job and get the relationship and, achieve all these milestones, but it's all just made up, it's all
Mhm.
a societal
Yeah,
construct.
it's like
And
societal does do that.
yeah.
I do think there's a benefit though, because when we don't need the pressure from the outside, but I do think there is some type of push that we need to give ourselves on the inside,
Yeah.
because I we'll look like, once again, we'll wake up and we'll be 40 and be like, well, wait, but it's a push that you have to do better. It doesn't mean that I have the best job or I'm in a relationship, because that's not what everyone wants. But when you live intentionally, it's to get the life that you want to create, or create the life that you love.
Hmm.
And sometimes that's not a marriage, sometimes that's not a job, sometimes that's not, like, it could just be, I want to be in a better mental state. And when you get intentional about that, it can happen for you in the next few months. But guess what? We got a lot more life to live. So what's the next thing that we're going to be intentional about? Because I know I've seen a lot of people, especially 28, 29, 30, 32, like, and it's like, what am I doing with this time? We have so much of it, but what am I doing with it? Because if we're not doing anything, we're wasting it. And that's what I want people to hear. It's like, we don't have to waste all of the time that we have. We can do something that doesn't have to be like long-term goal, but like, oh, I want to go try playing drums for the first time. And that gives me a sense of fulfillment. Like, it doesn't have to be, like you said, huge. It can be like tiny on the grand scheme of things. But I think it's important that we keep that push on the inside, just so we have a little bit, or feel a little bit more in control of the way that our story is flowing, like
Hmm.
setting those plans and the goals to reach, I think, is, for myself at least, really important, to live that intentional life.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to say that, like, I want to live a life by design and not by default.
Mm,
So, like,
Ooh,
if
that's
I'm just
good.
allowing life to happen to me, which is how I was living in teaching, and I felt completely out of control, and that just things were happening to me, but really, like,
Ooh,
everything is happening for us. And
yes,
so
yes.
to use it all and take it all, and it feels hard, like, to
Yeah.
say, oh my god, I have to be intentional about every single thing, but that's when you like make a decision. You start with
Mhm.
something and
Yeah,
then you work on it and you automate it and make it easier,
yep, I
and then
agree.
that's like, once it's automatic, it's still by design. You've designed that part of your life,
Yes,
and I think about this in terms of health habits, but again, it can apply to anything. And then you go to the next thing and the next thing, and there's always going to be a next thing. So again, we're just focusing on like being intentional and designing the life that we want to live.
I love that. Living a life that's by design, not by default. That
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
awesome. I think that's
Yeah.
gonna be the
Yeah. I didn't
title
make
of
that
this
up.
episode. That's oh, ah,
Yeah.
like,
It came from somewhere. I don't know where, but you can
well,
absolutely do that.
I'm gonna say it's from Elaine. That's what it's gonna I absolutely love that. Well, Elaine, is there, if you have like your coaching website, anything that we can let the world know where to find you? Because you have so much knowledge, even though you're starting out and you're still figuring out where you're going to take it. I think what you have is beautiful and you're going to go really far with your coaching. And even if you decide to go down a different path, because you are so aware of who you are and what you want to be, whatever you put your mind to, you're going to be successful with it. So I love that you're doing this. But please go ahead and brag about yourself. Let the world know where we can find you.
Yeah. So, it all builds on itself, right? Like, we're
Yes.
all just, it's an accumulation and we'll get where we need to be.
Yeah.
So I'm a health coach, and you can find me on Instagram at ESP_wellness.
Okay.
And there you can find a link to my free Facebook community where I provide free trainings weekly. I provide resources. It's just a community to kind of be supported and held in your wellness journey.
Mm.
And then I have 6 and 12 week coaching programs. It's called the Lifelong Wellness Blueprint. So it's really about creating that life that you design,
Mhm.
looking at all the areas of health. So it doesn't have to be nutrition and exercise. We can talk about how you want to like make friends, or maybe you need to make a career change or find
Right.
some other source of purpose in your life. But I take you through a coaching process that helps you uncover your true motivation for change, and then put into
Mhm.
action concrete goals and steps to get you to where you want to be. And so that's also available. You can find all those links on my Instagram, which is again
Yes.
ESP_wellness.
Awesome. Well, I will be giving you a follow. I am so thankful and honored to have had you on the Wisdom Podcast. I definitely think you are so knowledgeable and aware of who you are, and that shows. So, thank you for allowing the world to see you, to hear your voice, and for you to share some of your wisdom that you have. I am so grateful for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.